now you got WWE and you
Right.
got AEW as
Right.
national promotions. But years ago, they had these smaller promotions. Florida had a company.
Right.
Georgia had a company.
Right.
North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia had a company. Tennessee had 3 one time.
Yes.
Alabama
Yes.
had 2.
Right.
Texas had 2.
Right.
Then you had, of course, the WWF. Boston
Right.
was a company one time. Yeah, I
Right.
think you had something like 34
Right.
wrestling promotions you could go to work for.
Right. Detroit was another one. Detroit was
Detroit
another one.
and
Indianapolis was another one. Uh,
and
Kansas City,
Kansas
Portland,
City. You ever go to
Los
Kansas City?
Angeles, San Francisco.
You ever go to Kansas City?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh my God.
Hey, one night, let me tell you, that's what happened. We were going to Topeka in a snowstorm, right? And I had to pee, so I got out of the car near a toll booth. And I was peeing. I looked down in the snow, and there was a $20 bill. And I
It's a
said,
what?
"Hey guys, a $20 bill,
Yeah.
$20 bill." I looked down. There was a $20 bill. I picked it up. I showed the guys in the car because I had 3 guys with me, and I said, "I found $20." They said, "No, you didn't." So I looked down. There was another 20 and another 20. I picked them up and showed them. They all dove out of the car and was in the
Mother.
snow digging for that money, trying to get that money because you know how Kansas City was you would started that. Dewey Robertson, the missing link, told me, he said, "I started the death in Kansas City to learn to work. Then I started painting my face green and never used another wrestling hold after that, you know."
Oh yeah. He was a good guy.
Yeah,
So
I like.
you really found $20 bill.
Yeah, I did. I found about $60 or $80 in the snow, and it,
Wow.
and all the boys jumped out. I mean, the snow was probably a foot deep, and they all was digging out there trying to find that money if there was other money there.
So they all bailed out of the car
Yeah,
and went diving in the snow.
yeah, digging for 20s. Yeah, yeah,
That would have been a hell of a rib too.
yeah. That would have been. I never thought about that.
Get out here. There's
Well,
some money laying around. What's the worst territory? Listen, what's the worst territory you ever went to?
Kansas City.
Oh man, it was pretty rough. I went out there. I think I lasted out there about 4 months. I said I can't do it no more.
Dutch,
It's cold.
you're the man of
And
steel.
oh
You're the man
my
of
God.
steel. 4 months. And you know, that's like Nick Willis' territory. I'll never forget working for Nick. You know, and he took care of some guys he didn't take care of. But I remember later working for Jerry Jarrett, and a fan came up and said, "I like it when Nick promoted better than Jerry Jarrett." I said, "Why?" He said, "There was a constant turnover of wrestlers." I said,
No
"Yeah,
kidding.
they would leave, and they'd be in there a month or two and leave." Because, you know, it was hard. Nick's territory was hard.
I thought about one time franchising the Nick Goulas territory as a weight loss program.
Yeah, that would have been good.
I guarantee you come here, you stay with me
Right,
4 weeks, and I
right,
guarantee you'll lose 40
right.
pounds in
Well,
a month.
you know, the old story is the guys would drive in the Lincoln and
Yeah,
drive
yeah.
out on the $400,000 Bluebird bus.
No kidding.
And
It was crazy.
another thing I was getting ready to tell you was that I remember Thomas Sloan, the referee.
Oh, yeah.
He would tell us. He would come up to me and say, "Well, Bobby, I'm not, Nick told me that I don't have to pay trans, so I'm gonna ride with you. You know how we all charge trans, but it was his way of getting out of paying trans and stuff. You know, trans was 4 cents a mile. Remember that?
Yeah. Trans, for the people that don't know, it's like if you go on a trip, you pay a guy a transportation fee, like
Right.
here's for the gas, and we had a way to gauge that. But you say this referee would get in there, and he told you that Nick Goulas, the promoter, told him that whoever he rides with, he don't have to pay trans.
He don't have to pay no trans.
Oh yeah, well,
yeah, you know how it is. But he was snowing the snow people, you know. It was just his way of getting out of paying. And probably when we would get tired of it, he would move on to another guy.
What was your best territory that you ever worked in? You made the most money, or
And I like the best. I
you
made
like the
money.
best?
I'll be honest with you. I love Gary Garrett's territory. I love that Memphis territory.
Yeah,
I made my most money with Jim Crockett and Bill Watts.
yeah.
But also at the same time, Joe Blanchard. I worked in San Antonio, and I'll never forget when I drove from Memphis. I've been working underneath in Memphis, and Luke Williams and Bill Dundee had me go to San Antonio. I drove all the way down to San Antonio. I walked into the office. Joe Blanchard was real sweaty. He'd been working out there in the little gym he had. He looked at me and said, when a promoter sees somebody, he's a wrestler, he either sees little money, no money, or big money. And that's all he said to me. That night, I had my first match in his territory. The first match on the show, he gave me $400.
In San Antonio.
And I said, that was yes. And that's San Antonio territory. And I said, well, he must believe a little bit in me, for a one night $400 payoff there. But he was a good payoff man too, and a good man. You worked for Joe, right?
Yeah, I did.
I liked him. He was a good guy.
Good guy.
Yeah.
So you like the old Mid-South territory, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana?
It was a hard-working territory, but I liked it.
Were the miles long there?
They were very long. One night, I remember we had worked the loop, and it was the last night of the loop, and we had to drive 750 miles back to Alexandria. That was how far at the end.
Where were you, Canada?
We were in western Texas. Bill had worked us around, driving, and finally we were in West Texas, and it was 750 miles back that night, and we drove it. Straight through.
Well, I never went 750 miles. If I'd had to do that, hell, I just turned one the other way. I said, hell, I can't do this shit.
But
I did do 550 miles, and I would do that every other week. That Tulsa, Oklahoma. They ran a double show. They would run a double show on Sunday. It was Oklahoma City in the afternoon.
Right.
On a Sunday. Then you leave there, you go to Tulsa.
Yes.
You do that show. Then that's that long trip back to Louisiana.
Right. And sometimes we would have to stay the night and do promos. Do you remember that? When Bill
in Oklahoma? Maybe. That's where Bill.
You know what?
That's where Bill lived.
Yeah, that was we could go to his house and do promos and stuff. But before that, we would do the promos in Shreveport. Remember, Wednesday was promo day. I believe it was Shreveport as a TV station.
This is what I remember about Mid-South. We would go to TV in Shreveport.
Right.
And before the matches or the tapings began, Bill was a born-again Christian.
Right.
And you remember this. He called all the boys together, all the wrestlers together in a room, and they said a group prayer.
Right.
Sometimes Jake the Snake would say something.
Right.
And I'm thinking, Jake the Snake. I mean,
right.
Jake is in on the, and then DiBiase, he was a
JYD.
Jake would say something. Then Teddy.
Right.
And I remember they were praying one out, oh, Jesus, Lord, please protect us on the road and all this. And I caught myself praying that some people would come to the matches so we could get some money.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It was crazy.
You know that ring that was in that building? That wrestling ring? I have that ring. I own that ring.
That's the McNeely's Boys Club.
Yeah, Irish McNeil. I got that ring. I got it in North Carolina, as a matter of fact. But yeah, that TV was a lot of pressure he put on you, didn't he? I like Bill. He pushed you, and I liked him because he really made you go the extra step.
Well, You worked with the Midnight Express down there,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir. Midnight. Hey, I worked with. Do you remember we did an angle with you and Bill Dundee?
Yep, I remember it.
And we, yeah,
I still got one of those matches somewhere.
right. I loved them. We worked hard. We had good matches. I'll never forget one night. You guys were beating me with a bullwhip somewhere, and it was hurting. So let me tell you something. It's real. It's real. And I got over there and laid by Carl Ferguson, who was knocked down as a referee, so nobody hit me. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, I seen Carl open up his eye real wide and look behind me. And about that time, you gave Dundee that bullwhip. Well, he turned around like a flapjack and hit me with a handle in the back of the head as hard as he could. I went, man, that was wild. That was some wild stuff. We had some great matches, though, you know.
Oh yeah, it was good. But Bill, he was and Jim Ross was the announcer back in those days.
Right. Yes, sir.
And it was a well-watched TV. They did some good business there.
People believed it. People believed it. He ran it. He ran it as
I did too after I got
event.
through. I did too after I got through working with you a couple of times. I said, "Hell, this guy's beating the shit out of me. I got to protect myself better."
Well, let me tell you what Ivan Koloff told the guy. Me and Ivan was working in some shows, right? Ivan, I accidentally hit him in the back of the head with a chair and split his head open. But then I punched him in the nose, and he came to the show. He came to the show with a great big white patch on the back of his head, and on his nose, he had a great big white thing over his nose while he was in the ring. He looked like a duck. And he told the guy he was working with, he said, I don't know if you realize this or not, but we're wrestling guys that don't realize this is a word.
Ivan, he was a good guy. Hey, Bobby used to live with me.
Yes.
in Hendersonville, Tennessee.
Yes.
Oh, you remember that, Bobby?
Yes, I remember. You guys were real nice. I had came from I think I came from a broken arm, and I was trying to get started back in. And you and Kathy had a home for wayward wrestlers, and
wayward wrestlers.
And I was wayward. You trying to take me under your wing, help me out.
Bobby asked me one time. He said, "What do I do to get booked a lot here?" I says, "Start carrying Bill Dundee around. Remember, letting him travel with you."
You did.
And all of a sudden, I look at Bobby. He's on all the big shows, and I'm on the shit shows. I said, "Wait a minute." Because Dundee was on the good ones. He was the booker then.
Yeah.
And he just took Bobby with him.
Right.
Asked Bobby one week. I said, "What'd you make this week, Bobby?" Bobby said, $1,200. I said, "What?" I didn't make anywhere close to 1,200. I was in the main event and all these other shows.
I had what happened was Roy Rogers was leaving the territory. And see, James, this is something that people don't realize. And Roy Rogers rode with Bill Dundee everywhere.
Yeah.
And he was later Johnny Rich.
Yeah.
And Dutch said, Bobby, Roy's leaving. You need to ride with Bill Dundee, get with Bill Dundee, like you said. It was really one of the greatest, smartest business moves I ever made. Because I would be working to open a match and making just as much as the other guys were making, and them. So I would thank you, Dutch, so much. Thank you.